Welcome back to the Deep Dig A Sports Pod. I'm your host, D. Today we are discussing college football week 3, and we had some nail biters. It was actually really awesome. Before we dig into anything, though, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Drop some comments below. Let me know your thoughts. I am not going to be talking about the LSU South Carolina game. Be sure to check out our other video on that. It's somewhere in the channel. Again, Drew talked about that yesterday. I'm going to be focusing on a couple of other games going on in the later slates. One very important game being Georgia, number 1, Georgia, going on the road to Kentucky and eking out a win. They won by 1 point. It was not a great showing for the Bulldogs, who have been dominant up until this point. But obviously, I mean, they played Clemson in week 1. They played a tomato can the next week. They go into Kentucky, and a Kentucky team that did struggle very mightily against South Carolina. I know that the broadcast was saying that they reevaluated. They wanted more leadership on the sidelines coming from the players. And, hey, we need to hold each other accountable. But, man, this looked like a night and day team from when they played South Carolina to when they played Georgia. They really hung in there. And ultimately what it came down to was, I hate the old school way of college football coaching. It needs to go away. It is so stupid that we're not going for it on 4th down. When we have the ball, we're down by 1. We have 2 timeouts, and we're giving the ball away to what is ranked the number 1 team in the nation. You are a huge underdog. It's your house. You go for it. Why wouldn't you go for it? Why are you giving them the ball and the opportunity to ice you? You need to put it into your hands. And I get, they were saying in the broadcast previously, before this even happened, when they were in, I believe it was a 6-3 game, and it was a 4th and 2. And Kentucky, instead of going for the points, like, hey, we're already here, or instead of getting a first down, they decided to go for the points and make it, again, a 1-score game. That's another thing that I fucking hate, is making a 1-score game a 1-score game. That is stupid. Why do that? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Just go for it and put your foot on their neck. They are struggling. Why are you going to do this? So anyways, in that 4th down, when they were talking about it, they said that they talked to Mark Stoops. And Mark Stoops was a little bit snake bit, because in the South Carolina game, they went for it on 4th down in their own territory, and that he was like, that was a mistake. I don't think I'm going to do that again, blah, blah, blah. This is a completely different scenario. You are going against number 1 Georgia. What are we doing here, dude? Let's go ahead and go for the win. We don't, as a college team, you are not going to, let's just cover the spread. Like, you want to go and get W's. Why are you not going to go ahead and put your foot on the pedal and get after it, man? So that was just a stupid thing. You kick the ball back. You give up your opportunity to get the ball in your hands and really decide your own destiny. Instead, you give it over to the number 1 team in the nation, and they decide it for you. They run it down, and they give you no shot whatsoever. I mean, they gave you a couple of seconds at the end, a few more seconds here and there, maybe it happens, but realistically, you should have had the ball before that even happened. You should have went for it on 4th, and you just didn't. So let's move over to the Georgia side. Georgia, if you're feeling this, you're not feeling great about it. I mean, you're not going to be like, I'm not sure right now if they are going to be ranked or not. This is coming out. This is before, I'm talking about this before the rankings have dropped, but I'm pretty sure that you are not going to be ranked number 1. I think that it would more than likely be Texas. I don't know if they want to drop you even below Ohio State, because Ohio State still has not struggled this entire year. They're also a proven top program. But Texas has shown that they are the top dog in this. They should be ranked number 1. Georgia, you're not going to be ranked number 1. You have the opportunity to change this in conference play, obviously, but it should wake you up that, hey, we are mortal here. And this talk of Carson Beck being the number 1 overall pick needs to stop immediately. And that was something that in the early slate of games, when they were previewing this game, they were talking about, and they're like, that's crazy that Carson Beck, we're already talking about Carson Beck being the number 1 pick overall. We're not even 3/4 of the way done with this season. Like, what are we talking about? We still have a lot of football left to be played. And Carson Beck didn't look good. Like, the defense looked a little bit overmatched. They just couldn't really find their groove. But Carson Beck also didn't do them any favors. Let's go ahead and pump the brakes on his draft stock here. I don't think that he's going to be a Stetson Bennett, where you're not going to really want him until the third, fourth round. But I know you're going to want him, maybe like top 10, top 15, but you're not going to make him the number one overall pick moving forward. So let's just go ahead and cool that. And I mean, if you're Georgia, as Kirby Smart said, hey, this is the SEC. We can't judge teams from week to week. You get your win and you get after it. But if I'm going to be completely honest, I got on Bama's ass last week because Bama had a bullshit win against South Florida, where South Florida, the same thing. They do not go for it on 4th and goal. Instead, they take the points to make a one-score game. And you look back, and it just never ends up being close after that again. Yeah, you got lucky here that the coach is an old school, not soft style, but like real timid to go for this type of a swing. You lucked out on that. You take it. That's what good teams do. You win when you don't have your A game. So more power to you. But, I mean, you've got to drop in the rankings after this. Okay, so moving on. Texas had another game where they just looked extremely, extremely good. Quinn Ewers has an ab injury. They said it's not as serious as they expected it to be when they first went over it. So he is going to be week to week moving forward. Arch Manning, a Manning that can finally run. Wow. And again, not to backtrack. I know Drew already talked about South Carolina, but that's what pisses me off. If you're going to be in the SEC, and if you're going to want to be a big boy program, what are we doing having guys that are playing quarterback for us that do not know how to throw the ball? Ashford did not belong on that field. Ashford did not show up to this moment for South Carolina. That was pretty ridiculous. And look at Texas, a team that barely got to the SEC, has 2 quarterbacks. Quinn Ewers, who is, I think, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I think he's a little bit above Carson Beck. And then you have Arch Manning, 5-star Arch Manning, who is a Manning, who can also run, and who is showing that he has a bunch of tools at his arsenal, and he is ready to rip and roll. So you cannot be taken seriously if you do not have a guy that could sling the rock. What are we doing? So you feel good if you're Texas. I'm pretty sure you're going to be ranked number 1 moving forward, and you deserve it. Oregon, the Oregon Ducks finally showed up to play. This was a team that struggled the first 2 weeks. We called last week for Dan Lanning to do something because it was just not working. You were struggling against teams that you had no business struggling against if you wanted to be taken as a serious contender for a championship, which by all means, that's what was the conversation over this offseason. And you just didn't look good the first 2 weeks. You turn it around. You go in there. You beat a rival. You stomp them out in their home. So you look great. I'm glad that it happened. I'm glad we're going to see this confident Oregon Ducks team moving into conference play. I'm excited to see it. I think we all wanted to see this team just solidify what they actually were. Because if they go out and they struggle against the Oregon State Beavers, it's another huge red flag. But they take all that conversation away. Hey, we are here. We're a team to be reckoned with. I know we struggled, but moving forward, this is the Oregon Ducks that you can expect. Dylan Gabriel looked good. He showed off his speed in that option play that went for a long touchdown. He has very good accuracy. So this is a guy that if he starts to get comfortable with his weapons, I know he just transferred in, but if he starts to get comfortable and build some chemistry with these guys, he can make himself a very prime Heisman candidate. Let's just see. Another rivalry game, Utah takes on Utah State. Utah without Cam Rising today. It was Isaac Wilson stepping in. He looked much more calm and composed as to when he had to step in last week. And even the coach himself said, hey, last week it was with Cam, we're going to run up the score. With Isaac, let's run the ball. Let's get out of here a win, and we'll figure it out from there what we can game plan for Isaac moving forward, if that is going to be the case. And look at, with a full week of game planning and knowing that Isaac Wilson was going to be your guy moving forward, they were able to do it. You get a solid win. You continue to move forward. You still keep yourself in the top 15 within striking distance, and hopefully Cam gets better. I believe they're saying it's also week to week. I know there are some fake stories out there saying that he got a virus or something or an infection. That is not the case. They're saying he is going to be week to week moving forward. That's awesome news if you're Utah, because your playoff hopes ride on this guy. The Apple Cup took place, which was extremely weird, happening this early in the season. Personally, I'm liking it. Let me know in the comments if you are liking these rivalry games happening on the front half of the season rather than the back half of the season. I think it's awesome. I think that it is one thing because it's a game that means something early on in the season, and you can take that momentum and push it forward through the rest of your entire season. I think that changes the trajectory of what you're doing moving forward. And if you're Washington State and you beat Washington last second, you can propel yourself in the Pac-2 to being hopefully a ranked team by the end of the season and looking for a playoff push. This is a good Washington State team. I think that they are going to continue. I don't think they have a lot of losses on their record. If we're going to look at their schedule moving forward, I don't see a lot of losses on it. So we'll see what they can do. If they can sneak out some games that are going to be realistically you shouldn't win, hey, then we'll discuss it moving forward. But that is a win that you could take and push yourself forward if you're Washington State. If you're Washington, that sucks to suck. Sucks to suck. You lose the Apple Cup. You lose to a team in a division that you just left and you felt like you're already better than because you just competed in the national championship. You know it's a complete reset, obviously, and that is just another reminder that it's going to be a long trek back. You are not making it to any national notoriety anytime soon. So congratulations on your season last year. Welcome to this season. Tennessee continues to breeze through their schedule. They have not been in any danger at any point in these 3 games. They win. They beat a terrible, terrible Kent State team that has lost the majority of their starters from last year to this year. They beat them 71-0. If you're a Tennessee fan, you've got to be feeling great. You know that you have your quarterback for the next few years. Your team is built to win today, and you're like, we are in the driver's seat. We are going to make a super deep playoff push. And if you like looking around, you just saw a Kentucky team that, again, struggled against South Carolina, almost knock off Georgia. So that gives you so much confidence moving forward. You know that you are so much better than them, and you can take on Georgia if you just get your shot. So if I'm Tennessee, I'm feeling great about it. Like, let's go ahead. Let's continue to smash the teams we're supposed to smash. That's what we do as good teams. Again, as I said before, I got on Bama last week for a weird situation with South Florida. South Florida and Bama have had a couple of weird games down the stretch. You go in there, if you're Bama, you beat Wisconsin. You do what good teams do. You stomp out lesser talented, bad teams in sub conferences that are not as good as the SEC. So good on Bama. They're going to continue to keep rolling. Ole Miss is going to continue to keep rolling. They beat Wake this week. So you're feeling great about that. Texas A&M goes to the swamp and takes on Florida. And this was an ass kicking. This was an ass kicking of epic proportions. At no point did Billy Napier and Florida look comfortable in this game. They took it to them. Texas A&M has a great defense. And what are we doing? If you're Texas A&M, why are we not starting Reed at quarterback? Conner Weigman should not take another snap as a starter at Texas A&M. I don't care what was promised as far as his NIL deal, just pay him out. I don't care if you told him you're going to be the starter no matter what. If you told Reed, you got to earn it. Reed's performance was good enough for him to continue to be the starter moving forward. There was no way that you can roll out Conner Weigman. If you had Reed in that Notre Dame game, you beat Notre Dame, and probably fairly easily because Riley Leonard was not good in that game. Your defense was pumping. The crowd was going wild. You had all the momentum. You just needed a quarterback to take advantage of it, and Conner Weigman could not complete passes. Reed can. Reed can, and he's athletic. He's shaking people out of their boots. You continue to move forward with Reed, and if you do, you have a chance to make the playoffs. And I don't get the old head way of thinking. Oh, well, Reed is a freshman, and Conner Weigman has earned his spot, and they should probably split snaps. No, they should not split snaps. There's no way that you roll out Conner Weigman and think that he is better than Reed. There is no way. Why is DJ Lagway for Billy Napier not starting? You are a guy who is trying to save your job. Who gives a shit about what you promised the senior? You need to start. You need to save your job. Lagway has already proved that he is a more dynamic player. Play Lagway. Why are we splitting reps? That doesn't make any sense. Billy Napier should be fired. I'm not sure if he's fired yet, but he should be fired at some point this week moving forward because what he's done to this Florida program has been a disgrace. And if you're Texas A&M, now you've got to be like, okay, we're back. We have a guy at quarterback. Let's continue to roll. Take away the Notre Dame game. Hey, you know what? Just wasn't our day to win. Let's continue to move forward. So let's go ahead and do that. Colorado beat Colorado State. It was not a competitive game. Colorado looked like what Colorado should look like if you're firing on all cylinders. Travis Hunter is the most singly talented player in college football, period. That guy is so talented from both the offensive and defensive points of view. I know he's not going to win the Heisman, but he needs to win something because, man, he is so electric. He is so dynamic. He deserves to be recognized at some point for being able to go both ways. Shedeur looked a lot better. Shedeur ended up having both Travis Hunter with him and all of the offensive line. In my opinion, if I'm the offensive line, I'm like, okay, cool. But you threw us under the bus when it really mattered. I don't think things like that go away yet. And even though you win, there's now videos surfacing of Shedeur talking crap to the Colorado State quarterback saying, like, you can't F with me or you don't F with me, something like that. And it's just not a good look for a guy who is supposed to be a first-round quarterback. Come on, dude. Just shake the dude's hand, just be like, yeah, whatever, and walk away. That's it. That's all you have to do. You don't need to be a sore loser when you're down, and you don't need to rub it in when you're up, dude. Play it both ways. You stop being up and down. Be a little bit more in the middle. Show your personality still, which is completely fine. Just show your watch. Make sure the band doesn't play. When you score touchdowns, play your rap song. But cool it. Let's relax a little bit. Stop giving people fodder for the talks once you get into that draft conversation. So good win for Colorado. Again, I don't know how many more wins they have left on their schedule, but this was what Colorado was supposed to look like when they're firing on all cylinders. Looked good to me. Last team I want to talk about, Indiana. Coach Sig has this team, oh my God, rocking and rolling. Last week, they scored 77 points. This week, they welcome in UCLA to the conference, and they smash them right in the mouth. And this is a team in Indiana that is taking straight from their head coach, Coach Sig. Coach Signetti has put a tough mentality into this team. And you see it from the quarterback all the way down to the kicker. Like, these guys would run through a brick wall for this man, and it is showing. This is one of the top 25 teams in the nation. I feel really good about just saying that moving forward. And if they're not ranked, then shame on the AP voters because that's ridiculous. Indiana is one of the top teams. Now, moving over to UCLA. I mean, what can you say? You don't have as much talent. When Garbers is your quarterback, you just don't got it. I think after a few, maybe next year, maybe the year after, you have Eric Bieniemy, you have Deshaun Foster, you can start to build a culture of your own. But realistically, right now, you're kind of playing from behind, and it sucks. I mean, it is what it is. You move to a new competitive conference. You've got a new coach, new coordinators. You're going to have to compete somehow. And I think that this year you're going to have to look into the portal, see who's unhappy at other places. You're going to have to find some talent somewhere because you just don't got it. You can't compete at this level. So let's take a step back. Let's regroup. Let's try not to get embarrassed on the field. Let's stay competitive. Let's not do weird press conferences where we can't talk if you're the head coach. So, but I think this was a big shock moving into the new conference. And Indiana just is a tough team, man. I think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with if they keep moving the way they're moving. Let me know your thoughts on all that happened in college football this week. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to stay up to date on all the things that we're talking about. Later.